I was stopped at a red light, the night around me unusually quiet. Street lamps flickered in the mist, casting long, wavering shadows on the wet asphalt. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. The world felt unnervingly still, like the air itself was holding its breath. I glanced to my left and saw a man in the next car, his face partially hidden in the shadows of his interior. His lips moved slowly, deliberately, and I caught the words clearly. "Don't go home." My heart skipped a beat, and a cold shiver ran down my spine. The words felt wrong, urgent, alive. I stared at him for a moment, frozen in disbelief, and then my phone vibrated violently on the passenger seat. A message appeared from an unknown number. "You weren't supposed to hear him. Don't go home." I froze. My eyes darted around, searching for signs that this was some prank, some elaborate setup. But the streets were empty, the air thick with mist, and the faint smell of rain on asphalt. The light changed, but I didn't move. My instincts screamed at me to keep going, to drive away. But something deeper told me to stay, to listen, to understand what was happening. My phone buzzed again almost immediately. "They know you saw. They know you know. Turn back." I swallowed hard. The fear that had been building in my chest now clawed upward, icy fingers wrapping around my throat. Who were they? How could they know? The man in the car was already gone, swallowed by the darkness of the night. Yet the warning lingered, pressing into my mind, making the hairs on my arms stand on end. I started the engine and drove slowly, taking side streets, circling back, trying to convince myself it was a mistake. I passed familiar corners, houses I knew, but every shadow seemed elongated, sinister, as if the night had warped itself around me. That same black sedan appeared again at the next intersection, headlights dimmed, keeping distance, but always present. My phone buzzed again, this time the screen pulsing with the message, "Stop, don't go home." The words seemed alive, urgent, pressing into my chest like an invisible hand. I dared not call anyone, not even the police. My voice felt swallowed by the dark, my fear too real to share. I turned sharply into a narrow alley, tires scraping against the wet asphalt, heart pounding, sweat stinging my eyes. Ahead, a shadow moved along the sidewalk, following my every turn with a grace that felt unnatural, predatory. It didn't walk like a human. Its movements were fluid, calculated, like it knew my intentions before I did. My phone buzzed again. One single word flashed across the screen. "Run." I floored the accelerator. Tires screamed against the pavement. The shadow didn't chase. It glided, keeping pace effortlessly, silent, patient. My house, once a sanctuary, now felt like a trap waiting for me. Every instinct screamed I shouldn't go there. The messages, the man, the shadow, all warnings I could not ignore. I drove past familiar streets that suddenly seemed alien. The houses looming like silent sentinels, windows dark and unwelcoming. Every turn I took, the black sedan remained behind me, distant enough to avoid detection, but close enough to remind me it was tracking my every move. My phone vibrated again, a new message appearing from the unknown number. "They are closer than you think. Don't stop. Don't look back." My hands trembled as I gripped the wheel. I tried to convince myself it was some elaborate prank, but the meticulous timing of the warnings and the uncanny presence of the sedan made that impossible. I passed a dimly lit park, its empty paths stretching like black ribbons into the night, and caught a glimpse of movement among the trees, just at the edge of my peripheral vision. Something was watching me, waiting. My pulse pounded in my ears. I turned onto a quieter street, hoping to lose the sedan, but the headlights appeared again, glinting like eyes in the dark, unwavering, unblinking. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Who were they? Why was I being hunted? I tried calling a friend, anyone, but the signal flickered and died. Even the streetlights seemed to dim, as if the night itself was conspiring against me. I rounded a corner sharply, tires squealing, heart hammering, and the message appeared again. If you go home, it ends tonight. The words were no longer just text, they felt alive, pressing into me, warning me with urgency I could not ignore. I knew my house had become a trap, but where else could I go? Every familiar refuge now felt like a lie. I glanced in the rearview mirror and caught a glimpse of the shadow again. Not the car, not the man, but a dark shape moving with impossible speed, flowing between objects, almost untouchable. Panic clawed at my chest, hot and suffocating. I took a deep breath and made a decision. I would not return home. I would find another place, any place, where I could regroup and figure out what was happening. My tires splashed through puddles, sending arcs of water into the air, but I didn't care. All I knew was that I had to keep moving, keep breathing, keep surviving. As I drove, I began to notice subtle signs, street signs that seemed out of place, shadows that bent at unnatural angles, windows reflecting figures that weren't mine. Each message on my phone arrived just as I spotted these anomalies. You are not alone. They are watching. My stomach nodded. Every instinct screamed that I was being monitored, that the messages weren't random, that they were guiding me, controlling me. The black sedan continued its pursuit, always just far enough to remain invisible in the periphery, a phantom waiting for me to slip. My eyes scanned every street, every darkened alley, searching for refuge. I turned into a gas station, hoping to find security in light and human presence, but it was empty, deserted, as if abandoned for years. I could feel eyes on me, heavy and suffocating, pressing into my back, following my every movement. My phone buzzed again. You cannot hide. The choice is yours. Do not look left. I froze, gripping the wheel, staring at the mirror. A figure appeared in the reflection, standing just beyond the pumps, shrouded in darkness. Not moving, just watching. I didn't breathe, didn't blink, my mind scrambling for answers. Was it a person? Was it something else? The air around me seemed to thrum, vibrating with tension, with menace. I realized then that the night had become a trap, that every decision I made was anticipated, and that whatever was chasing me had prepared this moment. I gripped my phone tighter, the unknown number now displaying a countdown. 10 minutes. Don't go home. The words burned into my eyes. I had no idea who they were, what would happen if I returned, or if I had any chance of escaping. All I knew was that the red light, the man in the car, the messages, the shadow, they were all connected. Something inevitable was coming, and I had to survive long enough to face it. I left the gas station as fast as I could, tires screeching against the slick pavement, the countdown on my phone burning into my thoughts with every passing second. 10 minutes. 10 minutes until what? Every scenario my mind conjured was worse than the last. The shadow behind the pumps didn't move as I drove away. It simply watched, as if knowing it didn't need to chase. The black sedan merged behind me again, appearing like a silent verdict delivered by the night. I felt its presence more than I saw it, like a pressure in the air that tightened around my chest. My phone buzzed again, the screen glowing eerily in the darkness. You took a wrong turn. They are adjusting. Don't stop. I didn't remember turning, didn't remember making any decision at all. It felt like the road itself had pulled me down a path I hadn't meant to take. The houses here were unfamiliar, older, their windows boarded or broken. Trees leaned over the road like they were bending in to listen. My headlights flickered once, twice, then held steady, slicing through the mist that clung to the street. The sedan's headlights dimmed again, almost disappearing, but I knew it was there, always there. I gripped the wheel tighter as my phone lit up once more. They know where you are. You must keep moving. A cold sweat slid down my spine. I didn't know who was sending these messages, whether they were helping me or playing with me.
but every warning had come true so far. My mind raced back to the man at the red light, his silent words, his wide eyes, the urgency of his expression. He hadn't looked scared for himself, he'd looked scared for me. A sharp turn brought me onto a narrow road lined with tall hedges. The night here was denser, heavier, as if the darkness itself carried weight. The countdown kept ticking on my lock screen. 7:34, 7:33, 7:32. My breath caught when I saw a figure ahead, standing directly in the center of the road. Not moving, not shifting, just standing, as if waiting for me. I hit the brakes hard, my seatbelt locking across my chest. The figure didn't flinch, didn't react. My phone buzzed instantly. Do not get out. My hands shook. I couldn't make out the face, only the outline. A tall frame, shoulders slightly hunched forward, and head tilted in a way that felt wrong, unnatural, like its neck bent too far. The figure slowly raised an arm and pointed behind me. My heart slammed against my ribs. I forced myself to look in the rearview mirror, dreading what I might see. The sedan wasn't behind me anymore. Something else was. A shape too tall, too thin, standing in the middle of the road where the car should have been, its limbs strangely elongated, its body unmoving like a scarecrow carved from shadow. The figure in front of me lowered its arm and took one step toward my car. My phone buzzed again with violent urgency. Go. Now. The command jolted me into motion. I swerved around the figure, tires skidding, and sped down the narrow road, hands slippery on the steering wheel. I didn't dare look back, not at the figure behind me, not at the shadow that had replaced the car. The countdown kept ticking. 6:48, 6:47, 6:46. My chest tightened with every passing second. I didn't know where to go. Every direction felt wrong. Every street twisted into another unfamiliar path. Even the GPS froze, the map glitching with static, twisting into shapes that looked like symbols rather than streets. My phone vibrated again, faster this time, as if panicked. Not there. But it was too late. I had already turned. The narrow road twisted and narrowed, the trees pressing close to the edges of my car, branches scraping the roof and sides as if trying to hold me in place. The mist had thickened into a low-hanging fog that swallowed the streetlights, turning everything into gray shadows that shifted and swirled with every movement of the car. My phone buzzed again, the unknown number flashing urgently. Stop. They are here. My chest tightened, heart hammering so violently I thought I might pass out. I slowed the car slightly, glancing around desperately, trying to find anything familiar, any landmark that could give me hope. There was nothing. Only fog, shadows, and the oppressive weight of unseen eyes pressing down on me. The black sedan was gone, but that didn't mean anything. Something else was out there, something patient and intelligent, waiting for the right moment. A sound on the roof made me flinch. A soft, dragging noise that didn't belong to anything human. My phone buzzed again. Do not look left. I forced my eyes straight ahead, my hands trembling so violently I could barely grip the wheel. The road stretched endlessly in front of me, twisted by fog and shadow until I could no longer tell where I was. The countdown on the screen had changed, faster now, skipping numbers as though the sender had lost patience. 5:12, 5:09, 5:07. A movement in my peripheral vision made my stomach twist. I forced myself not to glance, not to turn, not to let my instincts betray me, but the sensation of being watched was overwhelming, crushing. Then a flash appeared to my left, a reflection in the fog, faint and fleeting, but unmistakably human. My phone buzzed violently. Look away. I slammed my eyes shut for a moment, forcing them forward again. The road ended suddenly in a clearing, wide and empty, the asphalt giving way to cracked concrete and weeds. I had no idea how I had arrived here. The fog thickened further, swallowing the edges of my vision. Another buzz. They know. The words cut through me like knives. I realized that it wasn't just the messages, the sedan, the shadow. They were working together. Everything was designed to guide me, control me, to corral me into this moment. My pulse surged. I had to act. I had to move. I turned the wheel sharply, tires screeching against the cracked concrete, and drove toward a narrow path that cut between the trees. My headlights barely penetrated the fog, but I could see faint shapes moving in the mist, circling me, always just outside my direct view. Another message: "Your house is lost. Find safe place." Panic surged, but some part of me forced a plan. I needed a place to regroup, somewhere the unknown forces couldn't protect. I turned down a side path, overgrown and cracked, branches scraping the sides of the car, low-hanging and claustrophobic. The shapes in the mist seemed to recoil slightly as I passed, as if aware of my decision. My phone buzzed again. "Keep driving. They are close." I didn't know what close meant. I didn't know what awaited me, only that stopping was no longer an option. Every instinct screamed that I was being hunted, that whatever had orchestrated this nightmare had eyes everywhere. I gritted my teeth and drove forward, ignoring the sound of my own tires over the broken pavement, ignoring the low whispers of the wind, or were they whispers? And hoping that some fragment of control remained in my hands, some chance that I could survive the night. The narrow path twisted endlessly, overgrown branches scratching the sides of my car, each sound magnified in the suffocating silence of the fog. My pulse hammered so violently I could feel it in my throat. The messages kept coming, each one sharper, more urgent, more alive. "They are here. Do not stop. Trust nothing." I had no idea who they were, only that they had orchestrated every moment of my evening, every decision I had made, every turn I had taken. The road ahead vanished into mist, and I could feel the presence behind me. Not the black sedan, not the shadow, but something denser, more intelligent, watching, waiting, anticipating. My hands shook violently, fingers gripping the wheel as if letting go would mean instant death. My phone buzzed again. "You must go alone. They will not follow the obvious." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know who to trust, what direction to take, what path would lead me away from the inevitable. Every instinct screamed that home was no longer mine, that the house I had once called safe was now a trap, a lure designed for me to fall into. My breath came in ragged gasps, cold sweat running down my back as the fog seemed to thicken into a physical wall pressing against my chest. Then suddenly, the trees parted, and I saw a faint light in the distance, almost impossibly far, yet drawing me like a beacon. Another message: "The light is your chance. Do not turn back." I floored the accelerator, tires screeching on broken asphalt, branches clawing at my windows and hood. Shapes moved at the edges of my vision, shadows that did not belong to trees or the wind, their movements deliberate, predatory, following me as if choreographed to my panic. The messages became a torrent. "Almost there. They know your fear. Ignore it. Your time is limited. Make the choice. Alone. You must be alone." The words burned into my mind, each vibration of the phone making my skull ache, my vision swimming with panic. I forced myself to breathe, forcing rationality into my body, but reason felt useless against the orchestrated chaos that surrounded me. My car's headlights caught fleeting glimpses of figures, tall, thin, impossibly silent, dissolving into fog as I looked directly at them. I dared not look left as the messages had warned, yet the sensation of eyes was constant, pressing, weighing down my thoughts. Hours, or maybe minutes, time lost all meaning. The mist warped the street, bending reality, making each turn a trap, each shadow a threat. My heart thundered in my chest, a drum of pure terror, as the phone buzzed one final time. The end is near. Make the decision now. Ahead, the light grew stronger, a soft golden glow spilling through the fog. I drove toward it, and as I approached, the fog lifted slightly, revealing a small abandoned gas station, its windows broken, neon flickering, yet somehow inviting, somehow safe. I stopped the car, every nerve screaming in tension, and my phone went silent for the first time. The world around me seemed frozen, waiting for my next move. I stepped out, legs trembling, sweat and adrenaline mingling on my skin, and the fog seemed to ripple around me, as if alive, watching, judging. I glanced at the path I had traveled, shadows shifting, figures flickering at the edges of my vision. Nothing moved in a human way, yet I knew I was not alone. The first figure appeared from the fog, slowly, deliberately. It was not fully human, its body distorted, elongated, its movements fluid and predatory. My mind screamed to run, to drive, to escape, but my legs moved forward instead, drawn by some instinct deeper than fear, deeper than logic. Behind it, more figures emerged from the mist like shadows come to life. They didn't speak, but their presence pressed into me, tangible, suffocating. I forced myself to remember the messages, the warnings, the instructions. Go alone, trust nothing, do not look left. I moved through the small clearing toward the gas station, my body tense, every sense alive, my mind screaming that one wrong step would be fatal. The figures did not attack. They simply watched, pacing, circling, testing me. My breath came in short gasps, each exhale visible in the cold night air. I reached the door of the gas station, rusted and cracked, and the final message appeared on my phone. Inside. The truth is inside. Face it. I hesitated. Every instinct begged me to run, to ignore it all, yet some force compelled me forward. I pushed the door open, the hinges squealing, and the light inside revealed a single figure sitting at the counter. A man. Entirely human in appearance, yet the aura of menace that surrounded him made my skin crawl. He smiled, a slow, deliberate smile, and gestured to the chair across from him. My legs moved before my mind could protest. I sat, my eyes fixed on him, trying to gather courage. He spoke, voice low, deliberate. You have come because you were warned. You have survived because you listened. Few ever do. I swallowed, my throat dry.
Who are you? Who is after me? He shook his head slightly, the smile never leaving his face. It is not who, it is what. You have been chosen. You saw too much, learned too much. The world beyond the ordinary notices those who step outside the flow. They are not human. They do not think as we do. And now they know you know. My stomach dropped. I don't understand. I was in my car, at the red light, and... He raised a hand, cutting me off. It began before that. The man in the next car, the messages, the shadows, they are all part of the initiation, the test. You are not the first, but you are among the few who make it this far. Most break before the end. I shook, unable to comprehend. The test? Initiation? Why me? He leaned forward, eyes boring into mine. Because you saw, because you listened, because you survived long enough to make a choice. The choice that determines whether you remain in the world you know, or whether you step beyond it, into the realm that observes all, that tests all, that punishes all who fail. I felt my knees buckle, the weight of his words sinking into me. My mind screamed for escape, yet I could not move. Around me, the fog seemed to press against the walls, the edges of reality itself warping. Outside, the shadows waited, patient, unblinking, their forms half seen, half imagined. I realized then that going home had never been an option. The choice had never been mine. Yet, somehow, through terror and instinct, I had survived long enough to confront the truth. I looked at him, and despite every instinct telling me to flee, I understood. I had to face it, to step into the unknown, to accept what came next. The door behind me slammed shut with the force of unseen hands, and the fog pressed closer. The figures outside pressed their faces to the broken glass, their forms indistinct, yet terrifying. I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to focus. The man leaned back, the glow of the gas station light casting long shadows, and said simply, "Choose. Step forward or turn back. There is no middle path." My hands shook, the phone vibrating one last time in my pocket.
a final message glowing on the screen. Now. I rose, legs unsteady, heart hammering, and walked toward the back room, toward the unknown that had been guiding me, warning me, shaping me into something beyond fear, beyond ordinary life. The fog outside swirled like living smoke, figures pressed closer, but I stepped forward, each footfall deliberate, each breath measured. I felt the weight of every choice, every warning, every shadow, and realized that the night, the red light, the man, the messages, they had led me here, to this moment, to this decision. My hand touched the door handle, cold metal against my skin, and I turned it slowly. Beyond the door was darkness, alive, pulsating, whispering. I inhaled sharply and stepped inside, the threshold closing behind me, and I understood that what awaited would change everything. The world I had known was gone, replaced by a reality that observed, that tested, that judged. And yet through fear, through shadows, through the relentless pursuit, I had survived to face it. My phone buzzed one last time. "You are here. Begin." And in that instant, the silence exploded, the shadows surged, and I took my first step into the unknown.